Welcome to part 3 of 3-part AutoCAD 3D beginner series. In this part, we'll discuss the following topics. We'll start with surface tools like planar surface, network surface, surface loft, patch, surface fillet, offset, sculpt, and thicken tool. Then we'll talk about visualization tools like changing object color, applying materials, adding cameras, rendering with environment preset, adding custom lights, and finally saving rendering as image file. So with that, let's get started with the surface tools of AutoCAD. So after 3D modeling, let's talk about the surfacing tools. Now for the surface tools, you just need to go to this surface tab, and well, here you can see all the surface related tools. Now at first, I'll start with the planar and network surface tool, though we also have the other tools which we already discussed in solid modeling like loft, sweep, revolve, and extrude, and they work in exactly the same way. The only difference being in this case, it will create a surface instead of a solid. So in order to just understand the planar and network surface tool, I'll go to this network surface drawing, and you can actually download once again all these drawings from the link in the description. Now, the planar tool will let you make a planar surface using 2D shape. So here I have this 2D shape which is just created with the polyline, and you can, after selecting planar tool, select this object option or simply press enter, and that's going to select object tool. Now click on the boundary and press enter again, and here we have it. It will just convert that close profile into a planar surface. Now this may look like a planar surface, but it's not. If you orbit this drawing, you'll notice something else. Here you can see that this has a peculiar kind of shape here. Actually, these are simple arcs made in different directions. So these are in one direction and these are in different in the other one. So in order to convert this entire thing into a surface, you can use network surface tool. So select network. Now select the curves in the first direction. So I'll select maybe these 3 as the first direction. So you just need to ensure that you're selecting in the same direction. Press enter, and now select in the second direction. So that's the second direction, and press enter again, and it will convert it into this. So once again, we have a surface, but it is now a networked surface created with all these 2D shapes. Now this is kind of like the top view of a mouse, and you can use these methods to create these kind of organic shapes very easily. Now let's talk about other surface tools. So I'll go to surface tools, and here we have the drawing. Now this is one of the drawing which we already created using loft command. So this is kind of like that. We have all of these circles which are stacked on top of one another. They're all along z-axis. Now I'll go to this loft tool, and I'll start lofting it from this bottom circle. So this one, then this, then this, and then this one. And here we are, we've got this lofted profile. Press enter and enter again, and this is what we are going to get. Now in order to see this clearly, of course, we just need to switch the visual style. So I'll go to home tab, and from here I'll select shades of gray, and this is what we have. All right, it has an open profile here, and you can see through it. Well, that's because we are now making a surface instead of a solid shape here, as we are in the surface tool. Now let's do it again. So I'll go to surface, loft, and I'll select this top profile, then this one, and this bottom one. All right, press enter twice, and we have this now. So this is how you can actually make it. But now we can modify it even further. Let me first hide this grid. It's kind of distracting for now. All right, and now let's talk about this patch tool. Now using patch tool, you can fill the open areas. So here we have this open area, which we want to keep open for now. But this is the open part which we definitely want to patch. A bottom profile should be closed here, and for this picture, of course, we just want it closed. So I'll just select the patch tool, and I'll click on this boundary and press enter. And now it is patched with a ruled surface, a completely ruled surface, which is perpendicular here. If, however, you want it different, you can click this arrow now and change it to a different continuity. Right now it's at position continuity, which is basically just patching it parallel to the profile. If however you select G1, it will just patch it tangentially. G2 is the surface continuity. So we won't discuss more about these G0, G1 and G2 continuity here, but if you just choose G1, the profile will look different. So it will kind of make this kind of tangential profile. Of course, we don't want that. Otherwise the picture won't stand here. So we just need the first one, G0. All right, so with that, we'll have a completely flat bottom. So I'll press enter and here we are. So we've got this. But of course, this is very sharp edge. So we just need to add a little bit of fillet. So let's do that. And that you can do using fillet. So select fillet and now select surfaces. So that's the surface and that's the second surface. All right, now you just need to specify a radius. So you can click here, specify radius, or if you want to do it manually, you can just select this grip, this tiny one, and just move it inside. And if you move it inside, you'll notice that it is adding a fillet. So I'll just eyeball it and I'll simply add a fillet just like this. And I'll press enter and here we are. We've got this flat bottom as well as this fillet, which is added right about here. Now, if you want to reduce the size, just select the grip and move it again. So I'll just select the grip and maybe I'll just move it outside. Kind of like this. Well, this fillet looks good, so I'll just keep this one. Press escape and we've got the fillet. Now let's patch the top surface here as well. So here we have this top surface and I'll just select patch and I'll select this top one. The top surface profile is selected. Now press enter. Once again, if I select the G0 continuity, it will simply patch it like this. But I want it to continue in this direction, just like this. For that, I can click this arrow and select G1. Now it will patch it tangentially like this. And that's the kind of profile I want. So I'll just press enter and here it is. It is now patched properly. All right, so now we have pretty much seen most of the tools here. The last thing is blending between these two surfaces, and that we can do using this blend tool. So before we blend it, let's try this offset tool. Now using offset, you can create a new copy of your existing surface at some distance. So I'll select this offset and I'll select this picture. And of course, I'll select the bottom surface as well, including the fillet. So this one and the fillet and press enter. Now we just need to specify the offset distance and the direction. Right now, the direction is inside and the offset will be made inside because the arrow is pointing inside, but you can go to this flip direction and the arrow will point outside. Now, if you want to make offset on both the sides, you can select both sides and the offset will be made on both the sides, but we don't want it. So I'll just select flip direction just one more time and it's just flipping it outside. Now we just need to specify the distance. So I'll add a distance of 50 unit and press enter. And there we are. We have got another picture which is right outside this at an offset distance of 50. All right, now let's extract it. So I'll just select this one and also this and this, and I'll just move it. So using this grip, I'll just move it out. Now this may give you this kind of warning, and it's going to show you this warning because of the surface associativity, which is just associated with the previous surface, and it is associated because of this check mark. So you can completely ignore it and select continue and just move it out. There we are. We've got a new offset which is outside. Now that we have this offset, we'll use it later. But for now, let's now patch these gaps, and we'll do that using blend tool. So I'll go to blend and here I'll start with this profile. So I'll just select this top one, and once again, it's not selecting it. Once selected, it will highlight in blue like this. Select and press enter. Now select the second profile, which is this one. So I'll select it, it's highlighted, and press enter again. And there we are, it is now blended. Now once blended, it will just blend it in this kind of tangential way, but you can change that too. So you can click this grip and change it to G0. Now it will vertically move up. It won't just make it tangential. So you can select here G0 continuity and it will just make it currently like this, exactly vertical. Of course, you can change it using the continuity type from G1, G2 or G0. So maybe I'll just move it to G1 and here also I'll just make it G1. All right, so there we are. We have got this thing blended and I'll press enter, and now this is all blended together and we have this completely closed picture. But this picture is made with several different surfaces, as you can see. Now, if you want to convert this entire thing into a solid, then you can select a tool called Sculpt. Now, sculpting is basically converting a completely watertight object into a 3D solid. And that's what we are going to do. So I'll select Sculpt. I'll select this entire thing and press enter. Wait for a moment, and now it's a 3D solid. It's no longer a surface, and it's all a single unit. So if you select it, move it, well, that's going to just move one single unit. And now since we have a single unit, you can also make it hollow using the shell tool, which we learned earlier right here. So the shell tool, you can just select it, select this entire body, press enter, and add a shell distance, maybe 5, and enter. And now this is shelled from inside. This may not look any different, but if you select the section plane, you'll find that it is now shelled from inside. So let me just do that as well. So I'll go to section plane, and as you can see, back is here. So maybe I'll use that back plane. So I'll go to orthographic, and here's the back view, select it. And now you can see it from inside. So here's a shelled surface. It's completely hollow from inside. So that's how you can shell it. Let's now delete this section plane. All right. Now, what about this one? Well, this one is still a surface, and it is a perfect example actually. Now, in this case, if you want to just convert this entire surface into a solid, you can do that as well. And for that, we have a tool called Thicken. That's right here. So select Thicken, select the surface which you want to, well, convert into 3D solid, just like this, and press enter. Now specify the thickness. So in this case, I'll add a thickness of 5. Enter, and there we are. Now it's also converted into a 3D solid, and it has a thickness of 5. So in this way too, you can just convert surface into 3D solid. In this case, it just created 3 different solids. So I'll merge it with Boolean tool, solid union. Select the first, second, and third, and enter. And now it's merged into one. And once again, you can just move it out here. You can just see this thing clearly. It's a single unit, and it's also no longer a surface. So in this way, you can use all of these simple tools, the surface tools. All right, now let's talk about some visualization tools. And to do that, I'll go to this visualization tab right here. Now, this is just a simple table, chair, lamp here, and wall and the floor. Now, we will apply materials on all these different things, and then we'll try creating a photorealistic rendering out of this thing. Now, before we do that, let's see some of the basic options which we can use to convert the appearance of 3D solids. And in this case, I'll just go to this solid editing panel, and here in this drop down, we have an option called color faces. Now, this will let you change color of any face. For example, here we have this table, and I just want to change the color of this top surface. So I'll just select that and press enter. Now select a color, click OK, and here we are. Now the color has changed. So press enter twice, and the color has changed, but it won't show anything if you don't change the visual style. So I'll change the visual style to realistic or even shaded, but I'll just choose realistic, and there we are. Now it should have changed, but it looks like I accidentally selected this leg, and it just changed the color of this leg. So maybe I'll just do that again. So I'll go to color faces, and now I'll select this top surface. Now it's properly selected. Press enter. Let's maybe select green this time. Click OK, and here we are. It now changed the color. So press enter twice, and there we are. So in this way, you can change the color of a surface or the complete solid as well. But in this case, we don't want to do that. Rather, we just want to apply it everywhere. So I'll press Ctrl Z a couple of times so that we are back to the starting drawing. And here we are. We are back to the starting drawing. Now, to apply a material, all you've got to do is just go to this Visualize tab. And on this tab, we have an option called Material Browser on the Material tab. Select this Material Browser, and this browser will show up. Now, right out of the box, the browser may look like this, just a home tab with a bunch of options here. Simply expand this home, and this will show you the categories of all the materials that we have. Also, you can expand this palette if you want to as per your requirement. I've already expanded it so that you can see the names clearly. Now, let's start with wall. And these are the walls. So in order to apply it, you can go to wall paint and just select one of the wall paints from this list. So we've got wall paint. You can also expand it to select one from glossy or matte finish. Let's say we want to apply matte finish wall paint. So here we are. We've got all of these wall colors, and whatever you like, you can just select one and just apply it on our drawing. So in this case, maybe I'll just apply this wheat color. Now to apply it, you can simply select it, drag it, and drop it. That's it. select, drag and drop. Now it may look like nothing happened, but actually it changed the appearance, which you can see simply by changing the visual style. So I'll go to Home tab and I'll select this drop down and I'll change it to realistic. There we are. Now you can see the appearance. You also don't need to go to this option all the time. You can simply select the visual style from this list. So select this and from here you can change any visual style. All right, so the wall color is applied. Now how about the flooring? So for the floor, we have this flooring tab selected, and here also you can expand it to see the options like carpet, stone, tile, vinyl or wood. So whatever option you want, you can just select from this list. Now if you want to just apply tiles, you can select it, drag and drop it, but maybe let's select wood. All right, and these are all the wood options that we have. How about we use, well, Endiroba or maybe this wood, and I'll drag it and drop it right about here. So there we are, we've got this thing applied. Now you can see the patterns here. The patterns are really huge, and in this case it doesn't look just right. So you can fix the size of pattern as well. Now to fix the size of pattern, all you've got to do is just select the material from this list right about here, and now you can modify it. So click on this pencil icon and this will open the material option. Now this is the image which was used to just make this material, and here double click this image and that's going to open even more options related to this image which was used for this material. Now you can see the sample size, which is 990 approximately, which is big. Now let's just change its size to 300, 1/3 approximately. Press tab key and now this looks much more realistic. So in this way, you can change the size of sample. Now the sample size is changed, and I think I'll keep this one. I'll close it and I'll close this as well. Now in a similar way, you can apply materials, all the other materials from this sample. So here I'm just going to select these legs. So all these 4 legs, I'm just going to select it here. And now I want to apply aluminum here. So I'll just go to metal, which is this one. And here I want aluminum, so I'll select aluminum, and here is the polished one. So select polished, and you don't need to drag and drop it now. As I've already selected it, I can just go to this material, right click, and I'll select assign to selection, and it is now assigned to my selected objects. I'll do the same for the chair. So for all these legs as well as these features, I'll just assign the same material. So maybe I'll just pan it, I'll select this. And I think I missed one of the legs here. So, okay, it's pretty hard to select it this way. Maybe I'll select it like this. And once again, aluminum. Now, once I've selected that, it's going to show up in this list. So there it is. Right click, assign to selection. That's assigned. Now we have this tabletop, and I'll make it with glass. So we have glass as well. That's right here. And clear blue glass. That's what I'm going to use. So select it, drag it, and drop it. Done. Now for this chair top, we'll use fabric. So let's go to fabric, and these are all the fabric materials that we have. Maybe I'll just select this one, I'll drag it and drop it. Once again, you can change the pattern size exactly the way I explained previously, simply by selecting the material, editing it, and then here double click this and change the sample size. As you can see, this is just big. So I'll change the sample size and I'll make it 100 by 100. There we are. Now, as it is linked, it looks like the sample size will keep the ratio. It will just maintain that ratio, but you can unlink it and change it to 100 by 100, but I'll leave the ratio, whatever is maintained here, and we can even make it smaller, like 50. And it looks like it's very small now, so 100. That's what I'm going to keep. And with that, I'll close it. Now, finally, let's change it for the lamp. Now, for the lamp, I think we can once again apply aluminum for this, though you can just become creative and you can select any other material, but I'll keep things simple for now. So right click, assign to selection, and for this, well, glass. So I'll go to glass, expand it, and maybe it's not going to help this expanding thing. And let's just apply frosted glass here, this one, this blue. So I'll select it, drag it and drop it. There we are. And now we have applied all these materials. Now with that, we are now ready to render our drawing. Rendering is the process of converting this drawing into a photorealistic image. But before we do that, let's set the scene first. Currently, our drawing looks kind of like this, but we can make it much more realistic in the scene setting simply by adding a camera. So I'll go to visualize, and here we have an option called create camera. Let's select it. Now, somewhere in the open space, I'm just going to create a camera. So I'll just maybe add it right here, and I'll point my camera wherever you want to look at this drawing. So maybe I'll just point it in this direction and press enter. So the camera is here and it's pointing here, and this is what the camera can see, which is pretty bad. Let's now change the location of camera using this triad. So I'll move this camera, and as I'm changing the camera, look at this, the view here is also changing. Maybe I'll just move it closer so that I can see it clearly. All right, now as you can see, we just need to move it up as well. So let's just move it up. There we are. And I think we should move it back as well so that we can see more of it. So there we are. I've moved it back and slightly down. All right, a little bit towards the left. And there we are. We've got this view. I can actually move it back here again like this. So this is the view which we now have from the camera. And this is quite a good view if you want to keep it. And if you want to even change it, you can change the focal length simply by clicking here, and then you can change the area. So simply by changing the focal length, you can increase or decrease the amount of objects which fills into this area. So maybe I'll just leave the default value, and now I'll set this scene, this view as the default. And to do that, simply right click and select this set camera view. Now whatever the camera can see will be set as the default view. Close it, and there we are. We've got this view. Now to set this view permanently as our default view, I'll go to this new view on the name views option, and I'll give it a name. Let's call it camera, and I'll just make sure everything else is exactly the same, including this current display, and click OK. Now this view is saved. Right here in custom view, we have a view called camera. Now whenever required, you can just select this camera view and it will take you here. All right, so that's done. Now let's render it. Now to render this, I'll go to this render panel. I'll expand it and I'll select render environment and exposure. Here we'll set the environment, which is set to off. Let's click this toggle. Now it's on, and you can select one of the preset environment. With environment, you get a background, lighting settings, and all the other things. Here maybe I'll select rim highlights. All right, or you can just select any other environment with some background, like the snow field. It has a background of snow field. Gypsum crater. Again, there we are. If you want to see what's going on in the background, well, here it is. This is the background. So dry lake bed. There we are. So you can just select that, or you can simply change it to all of these presets where we only have lights and not the background. So maybe I'll just select rim highlight, and with that I'll click on render. Now this will start rendering our drawing just like this, and here we are. Now of course, as you can see, we have a lot of issues to solve here. This looks really very glossy. We can fix that, and the quality is not that great. Of course, you can change the quality of this render simply by changing this option. It is set to medium. You can just make it high or low. So depending on the quality that you set here, the rendering will change. Now in this case, I'll just close this camera option. All right, and let's render it one more time, but this time using custom lights. So we have some light options here. So I'll just go to this light option, and I'll start with a point light, and I'll add a point light right here in the lamp. So I'll turn off the default lighting, and there at the top of this, I'll just add it. So press enter twice, and there we are. We've got the light, which is really very bright. So I'll just press enter a couple of times again to just exit out of this command. And the light is bright, which we can fix later, but for now, let's add more lights. So I'll go to this create light, and now I'll select a spotlight. Now I'll add a spotlight that starts here and ends somewhere on the table, and enter. Now you can see the spotlight here. So we've got two of these lights, but the intensity is, well, a problem. So we've got to fix this. So I'll just select this light, and I'll just select it like this, right click, and I'll go to properties. Now here is the intensity factor, which is set to 1. I think I should change it to 0.2. Well, there we are. And the lamp intensity is 1500 units. I'll just make it 300. And tab key. Well, that's better now. So with this intensity, I think the table light is fixed, but we still have this very intense spotlight. Well, I think we should add one from this side too, just to fill this gap. So I'll go to this spotlight, I'll select this part here, and I'll just drop it right here and enter. There we are, we've got this thing filled. But once again, intensity is just too bright, so I'll select both of these spotlights, right click, and I'll go to properties, and here let's change the intensity factor. I'll just make it 0.4 this time, and also the intensity of lamp, I'll just make it 500. All right, now it may look like it's very dull, but I think we are just good with this one. Let's just render our drawing with this, and if the need arises, we can change the intensity again. So once again, I'll go to this custom view, I'll change that to camera, and remember we've already set this view, so it will take you back to this, and now with that, click on render to size. And we have this entirely new drawing with different settings. So we have this lamp. I think we can again decrease its intensity, but the spotlights are just doing fine. So this is what we are going to get. Now, of course, this is a thing which will get better with trial and error, and you can just try out more settings, and you can also select a higher rendering preset to get even a better quality. But for now, I think I'm completely fine with this setting. So I'll simply click on save. And now you can save it as an image file like PNG, JPEG, TIFF, bitmap, and so on. I'll just select PNG for this, and I'll leave the default name and save it. Now this is saved as an image file, and whenever required, you can use it. So that's how you can create renderings as well after creating your 3D drawing. So that was part 3 of 3-part AutoCAD 3D tutorial beginner series. I hope this series helped you in learning about the 3D tools of AutoCAD right from scratch. Now this series is made for a beginner in AutoCAD 3D, and I'm hopeful that this series helped you in understanding the basic concepts of AutoCAD 3D. If you want a much more comprehensive set of lessons in AutoCAD 2D, 3D, as well as in other CAD softwares, then check the SourceCAD video course library. The link is in the description of this video. So with that, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.